Hey, nice to have you with us. It's a Thursday on Mansfield Today, and that means it's time to go traveling, courtesy of our mates at Flight Centre. I picked up on this. We were going to talk to this particular gentleman in conjunction with some other people. Then I thought, no, wait, hang on. I didn't realize that Michael Nell has been made managing director of the Red Carnation Hotel Group in Africa. Now, the reason why I wanted to rather just speak to him on a single travel show is because Red Carnation have some astounding properties in South Africa, all of which I'm sure you will know, the names of which you will know, because they are such legendary places. And they've just added a new one in Botswana. So with no further ado, let's welcome Michael onto Mansfield Today. Michael, thank you very much for taking time out to join us. I'm going to throw three names out there, and I bet you every traveller in South Africa will go, okay, tick box, tick box, tick box. Right, Oyster Box, 12 Apostles, Bushmans Cliff. And those are legendary properties.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, I must say. We've got half my job is already done by the beautiful properties that we have. The other part of my job is to try and fill them, which is the difficult one at the moment.
We'll get on to that in just a moment, because I'd like to take a look at the sort of macroeconomic effect that COVID has had on, specifically on properties like yours, because they do, because they're five-star properties, tend to attract a lot of the international tourists. But let's go through them. I mean, the Oyster Box, that has got to be one of the most, it's a landmark in Durban, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we've been very fortunate with the Oyster Box. It is, in Durban itself, there's nothing quite like it for South Africa. I'm a bit biased here, but I do think it's the best hotel in South Africa by far. And the good thing about it is that we've always had loads of local support for the Oyster Box, and that's been what's made it survive over the last 18 months as well. Is because the locals from Johannesburg have always been our biggest customer, so COVID hasn't changed that. It's still the same. We're longing for the international market, but at least we've been operating, and we operated right from the beginning. So end of June, July last year, we started operating at all the three South African properties. So we've been really fortunate.
Well, I have two mates who I know whenever they go down to Durban, and whenever I've said to them, so where are you staying this time? They say, well, don't be stupid, of course, the Oyster Box. And I think it is one of those hotels which people almost feel at home to when they get there. You know what I mean? It is a bit of a home away from home, especially to a lot of, as you say, your Joburg clients.
Yeah. And a funny thing about that hotel is that we sell it as a beach destination hotel. But I tell you, if someone stays 3 or 4 nights there, the chances of them actually going down to the beach is slim to none almost. They stay around the pool, they're in the restaurants, in the bars. There's so much for the guests to do and experience at the hotel that they don't actually leave. A week goes past and they've never left the hotel, which is great. It means that we're doing the right things within the outlets.
Well, I suppose it has the advantage where you can sit outside and just stare blankly at the sea. And that's the same with the 12 Apostles as well. I mean, you can do exactly the same thing there, can't you?
Yeah, the 12 Apostles are a lot more reliant on the international market, but we always had a domestic strategy over the last 10 years or so. And again, the same thing has happened. Our guests from Johannesburg, our guests from Durban, a big part of our clientele that's come to support the 12 Apostles. And for the same as the Oyster Box, July last year we opened, we started running with all the restrictions that we've had, making people feel safe in the environments that we had, but we didn't want to turn our hotels into hospitals. So we were very very careful in the way that we did things around the business, so that people felt like they were still at home, and they come to have a luxury experience, and they didn't come and stay in a hospital, I suppose.
Okay, now I've been fortunate enough to go to or be at both the Oyster Box and the 12 Apostles, but the one that I haven't been to in your portfolio in South Africa is Bushmans Cliff. Tell me more about that, because I think of all the three, that is the one that almost fascinates the most. You know what I mean? The Oyster Box and 12 Apostles you go to either on business or to relax, but Bushmans Cliff looks like a totally different offering.
Yeah, you know, there's not many good things that have come out of COVID, but one of the good things is that Bushmans Cliff as a property has done extremely well. I think people wanted to be out and about, and didn't want to be in the city, in the cities and the surrounds. So for that reason, Bushmans Cliff has done phenomenally well. Now, the big attraction for Bushmans Cliff is once you drive through Clanwilliam, so 3 hours north of Cape Town. Once you drive over the mountain pass to get into the other side of where Bushmans Cliff is, it really feels that you've landed in Mars. You've got these big red rock formations as you lead up to the entrance of Bushmans Cliff, and it's a wellness and nature reserve. So it does have animals, plains game. So there's no predators that's going to hunt you and want to eat you. And the big part of what makes Bushmans Cliff so successful is, and a lot of people want to see, is they've got all these Bushman paintings in all the caves around. There's hundreds of sites around the reserve where people can go and learn about the Koi in the Sun paintings, the rock art, the stories behind it, and it's all about storytelling, and that's a big part of what Bushmans Cliff is. Obviously, it's also a relay and chateau property, so food and wine, again, very important. So people go there for an experience, want to be out and about in nature. You know, you can jump onto a mountain bike and go into the reserve. You can do the hikes, canoeing, archery, all those kind of fun and quirky things to do around the lodge. So it's a really, and it's for the young and the old. Kids at Bushmans Cliff at our private villa with a private guide, private chef. You know, that's what people love. You know, they want to be out there.
Okay, apart from, before we get onto your newest baby in your fold, apart from the level of service, which I've experienced both at Oyster Box and at 12 Apostles, and I would expect the same sort of level of service at Bushmans Cliff as well. Apart from that, how do you pull these, because they are very diverse properties in quite a few ways, how do you pull those three together under a marketing campaign to ensure that people either keep coming back to you or go to your other properties as well?
Look, I think you're quite right. They're very different in their styles and their offerings. But you know, I think people really get to know what Red Carnation as the brand is all about. And I think once people understand what we strive for, and for us, it's very simple. You know, we want to make sure that we look after our staff, and you know, the things that we do in and around our businesses, our recruitment, all of that ties in that we have staff member that's been with us for many years. You know, I've been with our company almost 20 years now, and there's many of us around in the business that is the same. But that's the key to what makes our businesses successful. So guests get connected to the staff, they know them personally, and sometimes the staff move around the different properties, so the guest will follow them to go and have a look and see where they are. And that's how we then get to expose the other properties that may have been a little bit off the beaten track, like Bushmans Cliff for that matter. And that's helped us a lot over the years. Now,
December last year, you took over a new little baby, I've actually been to not to your little baby. I was at this particular lodge when it was still part of Wilderness Safaris and being run by a madman who I now think is living in Maun. You've expanded into Botswana. Tell us more about Kijera.
So yeah, Kijera has been a family dream. You know, the Tolmans and Stanley Tolman, he always wanted a safari lodge. And the opportunity came a couple of years ago, and they acquired Kijera, and they changed everything about the lodge. So it was completely dismantled and built from the ground up. And they created 12 of the most incredible suites that you can experience in the world. They really have they've worked with and collaborated with Southern Guild here in Cape Town. And every bit of furniture, anything that you can find in the hotel, the artwork, everything is bespoke. Everything is handmade. We actually had some artisans that stayed on property over the 2 years that we built this lodge. And they made, for instance, furniture from the fallen trees from around the lodge. They've got this beautiful Tesla solar energy center at Kijera. So it runs basically 95% of its energy comes from solar. So they've spent a lot of time and energy and detail in creating this beautiful, unbelievable lodge, which is basically for Stanley Tolman, this is his legacy. You know, he wanted to leave this for everybody to enjoy. The family loved being outdoors on safari. They've done over the last 25 years with the operations manager, the managing director on property, Mike Myers, fantastic, well-known wildlife photographer. You will know him very well.
Mad Mike Myers, yeah.
And he has worked with the owners to really put, you know, this incredible lodge together, you know, from the bush experiences to, you know, every single detail that you can think of is there. It really is magnificent.
Well, I actually when I first went to Kijera, I flew in because he was still flying in those days. I flew in with Myers. It was a good weekend, but it was a hard weekend. I can tell you that much. For those who don't know, Kijera is a water-based lodge as well. Do you still offer the Mokoro safaris there?
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. It is what we try and do at the moment is we don't really just want to sell it as a water-based camp. And I think Mike Myers, when you speak to him the next time, he'll also explain this to you, is that, you know, after the last drought, something happened there in the Delta. Some things got moved. And so there's a lot more access to land in the flood times for Kijera. So we now do a lot of driving safaris, not just water-based safaris. Mokoros, absolutely, yes. And Mike also designed a nice glass bottom Mokoro. So going through those lovely little channels so now you can see the bottom as well of those channels, really is exhilarating. So he's done quite a few things, which is really working well for us.
Michael, if people are wanting to find out more about these resorts, you must have a central website that we can direct them to.
Yeah, so our central one is recarnationhotels.com. That's where all 18 of our current hotels that are operational is on. And we're busy with two hotels, one in Edinburgh and one in Dublin, which will come online towards the end of next year. That'll be 20 hotels for Recarnation. But yeah, all 4 of the African properties you'll find on recarnationhotels.com.
Michael, thank you very much for taking time out to join us on Mansfield today. It's great to catch up with you and to find out about your changes that you have made. I'm very glad that those the 3 South African properties have done so well during this very difficult time for the tourism industry. Very glad.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you at the 12 Apostles or the Oyster Box or maybe even at Kijera.
Don't you tempt me, my friend. Don't you tempt me. Michael Nell, who is the managing director of Red Carnation Hotels Africa. And that's it from us on the Travel Show for this week. Thank you for joining us. If you did enjoy it, then remember to press the subscribe button. Until next time, safe travels and bye-bye.